Hey, so obviously yesterday was crazy, and this episode you're about to watch was supposed to be posted then, but then everything happened. I recorded a large piece on it that I was going to drop today. That's like 26 minutes long, and we were in the middle of editing it, but it is 7 a.m. right now, and we are working with a new editing team because my main editor is on vacation right now. Mario, hope you're doing great. You picked a perfect time. Sarcasm. We ran into a few technical difficulties, so we're going to post this today, and we're going to post that tomorrow. I know it's not as timely as people would maybe want, but it's important to make sure that things are right and not, kind of just shoddily put together. But I will say a few things very quickly. There's a lot of discourse around political violence going on, obviously, and there's a lot of discourse on Charlie Kirk's past comments on gun violence and empathy, specifically fucked up things he said in the past about African Americans and Muslims and, gay people, just a lot of just his whole platform. And with that, you have plenty of people also scolding other people, not only just on the right, but just in general, scolding other people for not feeling just grand sympathy and empathy with Kirk after a lot of things he has said. So here's the thing, and it's very hard to kind of condense this. Know both sides of it. You can feel a large amount of disdain and a lack of empathy and sympathy for Charlie Kirk's history of saying abhorrent things and a lot of the inflammatory stuff he said about gun violence. You can feel a frustration and an anger at all of those things, and at the same time decry political violence. You can think this is an abhorrent person, and you can also think that somebody on a campus doing a content grab, getting shot in the neck is crazy. There are many people who feel there's political violence already happening in this country. They are right. There is clear political violence happening. The way ICE is brutalizing immigrants, the Minnesota lawmakers, which wasn't covered nearly as much as it should have been when it happened, and that wasn't too long ago, and so many other things. Of course, there is political violence. I cannot stress that it can get so much fucking worse. I am half Pakistani and half Indian. Political violence is normalized in both of those countries. It is not great. There are a lot of examples of how bad and how much worse this can get. And there are consequences to that far beyond just discomfort. There are versions of that where moneyed interests grow in power, where fascistic people grow in power, where far more censorship occurs. I think thankfully there was a large amount of people who spoke out and pushed back against this initially. I think you're going to hear more inflammatory rhetoric today and over the coming days. I advise you to not force yourself to drown in the noise and the fucking paranoia of it all, or even to watch the videos. The videos are horrific. You do not need to watch them. You will gain no insight from that, but to take a deep breath and deal with all of the conflicting views you may be feeling. I think oversimplifying this situation is a bad thing to do. And this is somebody who has faced the incendiary nature of things that Kirk peddled for all of my life. The only reason I talk on this show is because of going through that through most of my life. Like, I dealt with massive Islamophobia and massive fear from all of this shit. And I wanted with my platform to fight against it. And something I have learned is, especially in the social media age, oversimplifying things and clearly just omitting details because it's easier for you to just have one quick answer is a really easy way to fuck up your options and everybody else's options and make things a lot worse. So it's been a crazy 24 hours. Take a deep breath. But not all of these feelings need to be mutually exclusive. They can all be happening at once. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Here's the episode. We got a couple stories for you today. Let's start by talking about Steam and Collective Shout. This was one of the most requested stories over the last week, and there's a good reason why. So if you haven't heard already, there is a group called Collective Shout who bills themselves as an organization dedicated to fighting the objectification of women and sexual depictions of violence in media. In early 2025, Collective Shout started ramping up its campaign against certain video games with themes revolving SA or incest. It started lobbying Visa and MasterCard to cut off payment processing to storefronts like Steam and itch.io for these specific games. And lo and behold, in July 2025, Visa and MasterCard approached these storefronts and really stressed their brand protection and risk control rules. And then Steam and itch.io began a giant purge of that content. Now, you may be thinking, well, look, it's content that's about SA and objectionable material. Net win, right? Like, just like the Department of Government Efficiency is about government efficiency, right? 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 Steam and itch began to purge large amounts of adult games off of the platform that had nothing to do with that type of content, like the game Vile Exhumed. That game contains no explicit pornography. It was just a horror game. No SA, no incest, any of that. Just a horror game. That sparked massive backlash and accusations of mass censorship on Steam, with Steam soon updating its developer guidelines, saying that developers would now have to comply not only with Valve standards, but the payment processor standards as well. Now, Valve, the owner of Steam, as well as itch.io, are in a precarious position here, because not accepting Visa or MasterCard would be a massive blow to any platform, and they wouldn't be able to if Visa and MasterCard didn't let them. But on top of that, people started to notice that a lot of LGBTQ and kink content was disproportionately targeted by this. So then when you go back through the chain of command and re-examine who Collective Shout actually is, guess fucking what? They actually started as a quasi-religious organization co-founded by Melinda Tankard Rice, who was an anti-abortion and anti-pornography activist. A lot of the people who were part of these groups and still are a part of these groups came from old family values groups, similar to Focus on the Family and the American Family Association from the early 2000s. You know, you may know them as I Have No Direction in Life, So I Want to Harass Gay People Association. Collectively, I think they all collectively go by that secretly. Suddenly, the effort behind this whole push becomes more clear, and the campaign starts to look far more insidious, because clearly the idea was to target all adult and possibly mature content that is anti-Christian or family values and destroy any expression or market thereof of it. And once again, this is not a video that is excusing games that glorify SA or intimate violence. I'm specifically talking about a group that co-ops that message specifically to push through their own insidious narratives to censor content they don't like that conflicts with their traditional values, including content by marginalized groups and content that's just that has nothing to do with anything they're talking about. And the alarm bells after this purge happened really rung clear. Thousands of people, developers, and free speech activists signing petitions against these actions, calling out the disproportionate swing and how it hit so much LGBTQ plus content, and accusing Visa and MasterCard of financial censorship. With one of the spokeswomen from Collective Shout, Caitlin Roper, responding, "It's clear that many of the men defending their rape games perpetrate crimes of violence against women because they are doing it to us right now. And just to remind this fucking clown car of a person, Caitlin, that is not the argument the majority of people are having. Mass censorship of gay and transgender people's content, as well as just mature content that has nothing to do with any of that, and conflating all of it with rape content is such disingenuous horseshit, you fucking clown. And you're pulling this whataboutism because you don't want to fucking talk about it, because you're trying to fool people who aren't as familiar with what you're doing, people who are fighting against the perpetration of sexual violence. You're trying to fool them into supporting you when you don't even give a shit about that. Everything about Collective Shout has been to grift progressive activists by shouting their cause while dog whistling traditionalist propaganda. propaganda. Look at Caitlin's page real quickly. Oh, all of this seems above board. This seems normal. Like she's really an activist for women's rights and everything like that. Oh, look, here's a bunch of anti-trans shit. A lot of Daily Mail articles retweeted. You think nobody sees this little fucking game you're playing, Caitlin? What's interesting about all of this is a lot of these sex-positive feminists and LGBTQ progressive activists who are caught in the middle of this are on the same side in this specific argument as the anti-woke fucking Gamergate 2 crowd, which, by the way, the latter was co-opted by a similar thing that Collective Shout is now doing to progressive activists. Here are legitimate problems with corporate greed and censorship affecting you around the world. Also, here's some homophobia, and fuck these sex-positive feminists. But comedy! Were you upset at The Last of Us 2? Fucking lesbians. That shit works on very distressed communities, like victims of SA. Like people these two fucking smooth brains are trying to con. And for the record, this is still unresolved. MasterCard and Visa issued statements saying that they don't ban legal content. They just require safeguards against illegal content. However, Valve called them out, saying that the processors cited specifically brand harm as the reason to remove a lot of these games. And once again, a lot of these games have nothing to do with SA or incest. That's a smokescreen. It feels like for a lot of developers who are developing things, if their content conflicts with this one group's worldview, it's considered pornographic. Meanwhile, in response to all of this, GOG.com protested by giving away certain adult games for free. And there is ongoing uncertainty, not just for adult games, but for indie games in general about whatever fucking bullshit these two clowns want to cook up. So what happens now? Well, actively branding Collective Shout as disingenuous is a start. Once again, I understand the problem with games that glorify SA in a way that perpetuates it. But this is not a movement about that. This is a specific organization co-opting that movement to serve themselves and some fairly bigoted interests. Organizations co-opting movements is really fucking common in this day and age. One way to fight against censorship is to collectively fight against that. And it's already a tall order. Like I said, a large amount of the people who are battling Collective Shout are followers of Grums, the pot calling the kettle a pot. And this kind of stuff exists in spaces you may believe in as well. There are a lot of people who have the same politics as you do, who bring up legitimate, very true issues and use your passion for those things for their own gain. Like Sean King. Sean King was the darling of the progressive left for a while he pocketed all of that money. There are a lot of people on TikTok who will talk about world atrocities, but downplay other ones. There are people who will sell you away to heal your trauma and then destroy your fucking life. Being aware that somebody can align with your politics or a cause you are incredibly passionate about and still be a fucking liar is very important. I know a lot of selfless, truthful people who have fallen into the rabbit hole of what a lot of grifters have said. And I know a lot of dishonest people who are fighting for civil rights and will backstab activists when they have the chance. No one is immune to propaganda, and actions speak louder than theory. Groups like Collective Shout love to co-opt theory, so their actions have devastating consequences. And if they want to take away the ability for artists or marginalized groups to be able to speak, you just got to tell them to shut the fuck up. Let me know what you think in the comments. So eagle-eyed viewers are probably going to be able to tell that behind me is not only my new space, but the results of my ADHD. Getting back from Evo and covering everything happening at once has been kind of an exercise in managing my decision paralysis. And when my anxiety kicks in and I get stressed out and I have to try to figure out what to do, all of my bad habits kind of stack on top of one another. Things like eating or drinking caffeine, like the oral mouth fixation, is a very real thing. And then I get stressed because I'm doing that, and then I go back to doing that. It's just a giant cycle. And look, in the midst of all of this, that's why recently I've been using Fume, the sponsor of today's show, and something that's really helped me work through a lot of the anxiety and stress I've been feeling. So from the jump, Fume is flavored air, right? It's a device built to replace your bad habits in a very mindful way. It's designed really intelligently. It's tactile, it's clicky, it's intuitive, just to kind of help some of the more fidgety parts of your brain. And just to allay some fears, look, there's no smoke, no vapor, no nicotine, just a flavored air capsule to give you something to enjoy, no chemicals. In fact, Fume doesn't ask you to inhale anything. It just says take it into your mouth and exhale. No weird chemicals in your lungs, none of that. Personally, crisp mint has been a really nice little wake me up, and all this really has helped me when I'm like a little bit stressed out and I have to go for that oral mouth fixation to get that shot of dopamine. It's a good way to chill out that doesn't involve nicotine or a vape or, you know, going at Instagram and looking at photos of my friends to compare myself. And if you want to try Fume out right now for yourself and see what all the fuss is about, right? If you go to tryfume.com/Zed, enter in the code Zed, and you order the journey pack, right? You'll get a free Fume topper, absolutely free. I said free twice. Something great to kind of just level up the experience. So look, if you're trying to kick bad habits, you have a fidgety personality and that oral mouth fixation, and if you want to kind of help this cool rap news show, go to tryfume.com/Zed, enter in the code Zed, or scan the QR code on your screen and break those bad habits today. All right, back to the breakdown. All right, I got one more for you. This is legitimately important and also kind of crazy. In August, YouTube announced it would be using AI to implement filters for mature content for users, keeping in lockstep with the current changes other platforms have been making, due to the recent rulings in the UK around content that led to a ton of censorship. So naturally, around mid-August, a lot of YouTubers reported that they had received a drop in their viewership, and it felt a little off. And look, when I saw this, I thought what probably a few other YouTubers thought it would be, right? Oh, the algorithm slightly changed. This is going to be bad. We're going to take a little bit of a ding, but we'll make it back up. But for me, my cut was insane because I had taken a small break for Evo. And look, my views dropped like 50%. 50% is crazy. Like a 50% dip is like, how dare you, sir, from the algorithm? And me being me and blaming myself for everything, I was just like, oh, I probably just suck, and chalked it up to my absence. And I was like, okay, I just got to work really hard and maybe get some more salient topics. I'm getting back into the groove. And it's been kind of tough. And I was like, what's going on? Until I was hanging out with a few other friends the other day, and they said also their dips were around 50% as well. That's really weird. We cannot all collectively be that bad at YouTube. And then I got linked this video by Second Wind. Second Wind is the channel that Yahtzee sprung off after Zero Punctuation. If you follow games, you know what it is. But he does a lot of reviews where he just kind of rambles on. He curses a lot in his reviews, right? Well, look, I watched this video and here's what I found out. Apparently, if you go to your profile, right? You click on your profile right now, go down to restrict mode and you turn it on, half or even maybe 90% of the videos on your page blink out of existence. That's because YouTube restrict mode thinks these videos are mature. But here's the thing, sometimes they aren't. Sometimes it's hard to understand what is specifically pinging that filter. But if you go to my page, everything disappears until you get to a video from like 3 years back, and even then it's still spotty on what's there after that. Some of my best songs are just gone. You can't search for them, you don't have access to them. It even happens on Phil's channel. One of his videos from a couple days ago shows up, and then another from like 13 days ago or a couple weeks ago, and then it's just all over the place. Some channels disappear entirely, and I know what you're saying, Zed. What do you mean restrict mode? I don't have that on. You sure about that? You sure about that? Apparently, a bunch of people have had restrict mode turned on their YouTube accounts without them knowing, without any idea that half of their videos are just disappearing. There are some reports of people out there saying that when they log on, this is their default. And I do have to make clear, I can't fully confirm this is 100% what's happening, but it would explain a lot. In general, that is a terrible way to deal with mature content and a really great way to make your platform seem unstable. Look, we have sponsored videos on this channel, clearly, and we rely on ad revenue. But when a video bombs like this, it puts the entire channel on very shaky ground. Sponsors reconsider offers, creators change what they want to talk about, creators then stress themselves out if they're talking about the right thing, they burn themselves out quicker. And here's the thing, stuff that you want to see, that you're looking for, that you go to YouTube for, gets taken out of your feed or hidden from you. We did an important video on Friday about Gaza, right? And it showed up with a yellow monetization mark, and it did poorly. And the subject matter I talk about there has a lot of important context to everything that's going on, because we're a news channel and a rap channel and a bunch of other things. That creates a really worrisome environment when really important stories happen, that they're just going to be suppressed like YouTube sometimes already does, but even more so to where it's like hidden. It's one thing if my content is a little bit harder to find. It's another thing if it just does not exist when people are fucking looking at my page. Look, there's been a lot of moments where things seem really bad, and then everything stabilizes, and then things get really bad for a platform, and then they stabilize again, right? But as the internet matures more and more, as I've said before, I think we're back in the year 2005 with a lot of the political stuff in terms of the world, right? I think in terms of media, content is throwing back a little bit to 1980, Reaganomics, with a lot of these platforms implementing tools that press the thumb on certain types of expression as that expression tends to fight back. The hyperbolic version of the FCC in a different form. And again, as somebody who hates censorship and has fought against it, hi, I'm a rapper, this isn't new or particularly unique. It's not the beginning of the information state taking over. It's corporations looking after their interests, like it always was, right? And bad faith actors trying to stop block discussion or certain types of things they don't want seen by everybody else. It happens on both political spectrums, on different types of platforms, and now it's on social media. The best way to fight against it is to keep talking and inform people that the content that they want to watch still exists, even though it's being hidden from them. So how do you deal with it? Number one, please, if you can, spread the word that if you are on YouTube, turn off restrict mode. Just check if you have it on. Quite a few people may not even know it was there or that they do. Number two, and I'm not trying to plug or anything like that, but if you do like this show and want to support it, please subscribe to TooSoonCrew.com. It's like our patron service. I'm going to go open up memberships on the YouTube channel as well. So it actually pings you, and we'll also do a Patreon. Just whatever way you want to support, it'll be there. That way, in case YouTube tries to crater videos, you have another way to view them. And we're going to start doing the dual upload on Too Soon Crew in this page again as of this taping. Also, there's no ads on TooSoonCrew.com. Number three, trusting your algorithm probably isn't the best thing to do for the next few months. That's on any platform. TikTok is going to freak you out and piss you off and then put you in an echo chamber. YouTube is going to try to distract you sometimes from what you actually want. And Instagram is going to show you videos from a random feed instead of the next video your friend sent you because their scrolling mechanism is terrible. What are you doing, guys? But look, it may do us some good to step outside of our bubble and use the search bar to watch things outside of our ordinary. Let me know what you think in the comments. And that's our show. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, go to TooSoonCrew.com. Just an FYI, I will probably post a version of that standalone of the YouTube thing that I just said if this video also gets restricted. And I'm just going to cut out all the curse words and see how it does. If you see it, please click on it and share it. But we'll be back on Sunday with Freestyle the News. My name is Tabani. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all soon. Let's go.